Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to another Firedup KC episode. I'm your host, Zeke Wangang, and today I bring to you the CFO, the CEO connector in Kansas City, the number one connector in KC. He has also been featured in 40 Under 40 Ingram magazine, and also he is the co-host on the famous LinkedIn Live show, Drinks with Leaders. Please help me make welcome the one and only Mr. Scott Havens. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Zeke? How you doing? Cheers, Drinks with Leaders.
Cheers, let's go.
There you go.
This one is, I would like to drink some wine. Today, we're just gonna have some fun because I know you like to have fun. You've had me on your show.
No fun.
You had me on your show twice, and whenever I come on, you make me feel excited to come on the show. But anyways, for those who don't know who Scott Haven is, give me a brief bio, who you are, and how you got to where you are today.
So 10 years ago today,
Okay.
I was waiting tables at the Blue Moose after graduating from the University of Kansas, and I could not get the cocktail section or the bar area where you made the good tips.
Yes.
I just had the lunch crowd, and to this day, when older people walk into a restaurant for lunch, I cringe at the amount of labor you have to do for so little tips. But from there, I got a job cold calling door to door, so anything from Raymond Peculiar, Sedalia, Leavenworth, St. Joe, Lawrence, Baldwin, and in between.
Yes.
I've cold called all of Kansas City, then was locked into a room for 5 years in a company cold calling over the phone because I didn't have anyone that would want to meet me. I didn't really have anything to give, but Kansas City's a small town, and over time you run out of people to meet. My partners and I were really lucky 2 years ago to sell our company. It's called Trust, about 130 employees.
Wow.
We sold it to Hub International. Hub is the largest privately held insurance broker in the world.
Yes.
And my partners and I help run the Kansas City division, and when I mean help run it, my partners and associates do at Kansas City. My main job is being out and about, hanging with Zeke, hanging with friends, and doing our best to find opportunities for our business, which is healthcare, employee benefits, and then property casualty, so risk management.
Wow. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I went on your LinkedIn and I saw that our mutual connection is over 400 people. And just to give you an example of what that number means, I have about 2,000 people on my account, right? That is 20% of my account is people you already know.
Yeah. So typically I don't meet with anyone unless I share about 10% of mutual connections.
Dang.
So that way, LinkedIn's a great tool. Highly suggest people use LinkedIn if you're a business nerd, because it's a way to kind of understand people's background before you even meet with them.
Exactly.
And you can kind of get an idea from everything of, little things like where they live, what industry they're in, where their kids go to school, what church they go to, other industries they've been in the past, just through mutual connections. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool because I think we connect on LinkedIn through like a post that I made, and it connects you in Kansas City. But anyways, usually I just talk about something, but what do you want to talk about, Scott? What do you want to talk about?
Well,
Let's have some fun.
My ego's a little hurt because we were doing a mic check, and I was saying unique New York, or How Now Brown Cow, which was a Will Ferrell movie, Anchorman, and I always forget how young and talented you are and how successful you've been at such a young age that I'm referencing something that you were in elementary school on.
Yeah.
So that was really the top of mind right now.
So give us just a little bit of background. You say you've pretty much got everyone in Kansas City.
So Kansas City has 2.1 million people.
Okay.
It's the 32nd largest metropolitan in the country.
Yes.
And we have 71,000 companies. Out of those 71,000, only 2,500 have over 50 employees.
Wow.
And only 850 have over 100 employees. So a really spread out and diverse city in terms of the size of companies. So we're never going to be too high. We're never going to be too low.
Yes.
Kansas City, really spreads it out. So I run 11 peer groups, sit on 6 boards, and then I do 2 shows like yourself. And because I have a business partner, her name's Melissa Oliva.
Okay.
And she works with our clients 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. And when our clients come to me for a question, I don't know anything about insurance. So unfortunately, I can't answer it. But if someone's son or daughter needs an internship or they need ways into different companies to generate revenue, I usually can have an idea of how to help people. And definitely don't know anyone, a ton of folks can't see, but I probably know about 30% of all the executives in these companies that are middle market. So not really big, not really small, but the middle market. And you only have to bat 300 to go to the Hall of Fame. So that's the goal.
So you being, I would say, undoubtedly, no doubt, the top connector in Kansas City. Number one, if you want to know anyone in KC, Scott Haven is the person. If you want to know someone who knows someone who knows someone, Scott Haven is the person. What would you say is the key for you being able to become this, guru in networking? What was the key for you?
Well, I don't know about that, but I just paid Zeke a lot of money to say that. So
no, this is just 100%.
No, I think empathy. Life and networking. When you don't. Do you know the best way to make money? To already have it. Now, if you don't have it, and I was very lucky. My parents paid for a good part of my college, so I was very spoiled and very lucky to do that. But what I'm getting at is when you're growing up in business, life is cancellations, reschedules, and no. Well, on Monday, if you do 100 cold calls and you get one maybe, you're going into Tuesday with one maybe. If you get 5 in a week and you get one meeting, you got 5 maybes and one meeting going to the next weekend. So it takes a lot of work. And I would say up until about a year and a half ago, I was still 5 a.m. and then I have a 1 and a 3-year-old, so I pick up my kids and then work at night. But I don't do it. I do most all my work during the day now. But for about 8-9 years, it was 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then I try to knock out 2 to 3 coffees on Saturday and Sunday just to kind of fit everything in. But if you don't know anyone, you have to go out and meet people. And a lot of people get confused with the golden triangle of Brookside, Prairie Village, and the Plaza, where a lot of historic wealth resides along that corridor. But in our metropolitan, I always say there's over 67 different pockets. So just because you know one of them doesn't mean you know a lot of people. It's never ending on how you do that. But once you meet people in all the different pockets, they all start intertwining and interconnecting, and it gets easier.
Wow. Now, because when you talk about empathy, I want you to touch more on this. I think you told me this a while ago, but it's being able to make someone feel important, like saying things about the person, not just about yourself. Like whenever you are either emailing someone or trying to connect with someone, make sure the focus is on the person. Give a little more insight on that.
Well, what is everyone's favorite word in the world?
Me.
Zeke. That's right. And what's everyone's favorite topic?
Themselves.
Themselves. And what makes people feel superior is them giving advice. So I am clicking on all cylinders right now with you. You're speaking my love language. Because you're letting me talk about myself. But there's a guy named Brad Douglas. He is the CEO of Heartland Credit Union. So there's 37 credit union leagues throughout the country. He is the CEO of Kansas and Missouri, which is over 291 credit unions. And to this day, he's the only person that has ever asked me questions before I was allowed to ask him. So the purpose is I've probably done 6,000-7,000 meetings like this, and people will let you ask them questions about themselves.
Wow.
So if you spend 58 minutes talking to someone, asking them all about them, and then you say, how can I help you? They're going to go, oh my gosh, I just spent 58 minutes talking about myself. Zeke, how can I help you? So also having a curiosity about people definitely helps. But having the empathy to know that, people really don't, I hate saying that we're all selfish, but human psychology is we are a little bit selfish. So if you can entertain someone for that hour, they'll try to help you.
Because when I see what you're doing and see where you are and having all these connections, I know from the outside people might think it's easy, and then you're talking about you having to cold call people. Give us some numbers, like when you were starting cold calling, knocking on doors. What was like your weekly number? Like how many people do you have to call a day? How many doors do you have to knock on? How many events do you have to go to be able to meet the people that you know today?
Now, if you're doing over the phone, people say, how many cold calls do you make? You can make 200-300 dials because what do? Press 7. Press 3, press 1. So you're making a lot of dials, but in terms of conversations, your goal is to try to have around 50. But it's a huge 95, 98% rejection rate even when I do get Zeke, the decision maker, on the phone. And then the next step is grabbing coffees. So you ask someone for their time, and there's a cadence on how to pitch them. And then they reschedule, and then they cancel, and then you do it again. But I think the golden rule is 7 years, and most people just don't have the tenacity to do that. There are a lot of people that call on my industry, for instance, payroll, and I'll always speak to them over the phone, but I always tell them that there's a 95% fail rate and that I'll meet with them in 3 years if that's what they end up deciding to do. I've never had anyone call me. So, I think it's one of those things that people just don't understand the actual metrics and the numbers behind it of how are you willing to get into it. Back to, it's better just to have your life kind of handed to you and already have it.
Exactly.
But those that can grind like yourself and make it happen, that's why I love hanging out with you. And
there you go again, making me feel good.
Yeah.
You brought that back to me. That's what you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one created your path for you but yourself.
Yes, that's true. This is one reason why I like to chat with you, because each time I chat with you, you always, no matter what you say, you always bring it back to the person you're talking with, which is a key, I think, is very important in networking, right? You want to focus on the person, right? And so with you now, I know it's become more easier. Like, you really don't have to do that much cold calling anymore because you've become the person that people talk to. So how do you think LinkedIn personally has, even the show that you do, how are you being able to leverage that in what you do? How easy is that for you?
Well, I don't know a lot of people that do this, but everyone pitches their business on LinkedIn. But no one cares about anyone's business because we're selfish.
Yes.
So until people figure that out, I'm super lucky. I just celebrate other people's successes, and I encourage other folks when they're doing well. It's how I research. It's how I learn.
Yes.
So leveraging LinkedIn as a tool, again, there's the cold calling, not building relationships, and then there's building a personal brand, where you're building a personal brand. But yeah, unfortunately, when you're having to cold call, you're messaging. Exactly. You're using artificial intelligence to shoot out messages. I can't tell you, I've gotten really good about accepting and not accepting, but I accept based upon whether I'm like, is this person going to sell me something? And then like clockwork, I'm like, no, maybe not, but I feel like they could. I should have trusted my gut. Because then there's 3 automatic messages.
Yes.
And it's super impressive, and it definitely works. So again, what options do you have? I cold called door to door when I was waiting tables. So I mean, whatever cards you're dealt is what you have to master. So I don't think there's a secret sauce to anything. It depends where you are on the pyramid or the ladder, and if you're at the bottom, you got to start from the bottom.
Yes. So what would you say is, because you talked about people having automated messages they send to people, what do you think is probably the most effective way to connect with people, maybe on LinkedIn or any platform, like to send a message that doesn't look automated? What do you think is the best way to go about it?
That's a great question, and it's individualized messages that I am. For instance, there is a non-for-profit that is Foster Adopt Connect, and it's 2 minutes from here.
Okay.
And there's a Noodles and Company here.
Noodles, okay.
And if I say, hey, November 12th, 13th, 14th, or 16th, I'm going to be having a meeting with Zeke. I would like to take you, CEO, to lunch at Noodles and Company. Do either of these dates work? Space. I'm a huge fan of all your work. I recently saw the government grants you're doing. We're all so much better in Missouri and Kansas now that you're handling the adoption system. If anything, I'm just honored to be sending you an email, but if you're free, I'd love to learn more about your organization, if there's anything I can do to help or connect. And so nothing in the email says anything about what I do, but I know Pam, the CEO, is going to potentially be interested and give it a look. Because I reference dates, I reference the geography, I reference something recently that they did. So there's no secret sauce in terms of just time. And so that time should be spent before 8 in the morning and after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Because why? That's when you're cold calling. So before and after is your prep time to do those messages. So if anyone's ever sending messages out for business development, it should never be during work hours. That's when you're that's when you're live jousting. That's when you're hitting the bag.
Exactly.
But before and after, that's when you're sending your emails.
Dang. Wow. I mean, I'm taking that, put it in my pocket. I'm going to use that. So let's play a game of how many times you failed. I'm going to give you an example.
How much time you got? Yeah.
So I remember one time, I think it was on Instagram, I was messaging a bunch of people about I was interning for this company, and I was trying to message them to like get them on the be able to be part of like a partner with us, and I mistakenly put the same name on another person's message.
Oh, so that's part of the game. If you're not doing that once a day, are you really working that much?
So I was like, oh snap, and they were like, they really reacted really badly.
So I'm Scott. So people will say Steve. What is Zeke? What do people throw out as Zeke?
It's. I think I got one.
How do they mess it up?
I think I got one. I think it's wait. I think it's N. I think it was N. Nick. It was one. I've got a Nick. I've got an
Nick could make sense with an IK.
Yeah, because they put Nick and then they change always change the Z, and sometimes they do ZEKE. So it's always a gamble.
Yeah, an E or an N, that makes sense. Yeah, but so it's funny, Dan, I was saying it literally, hey Dan, doing talk to text, being a great driver, by the way, it's not a good idea. But yeah, no, I just did it on the way here, and then I had to go back to her. I was like, did I say that right? I did. But in general, that's just part of the game.
Yes.
And if people are upset about that, it is what it is. But if it's a big one-time email, read it 4 times. So if it's you've spent a lot of time, they're great.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to do it. But yeah, if not, just file through it. People will tell you, no, make sure you always do it right. But those are people that probably have the luxury of having things handed to them. They're not going out and creating it on your own. If you're doing 100 in a day, you're gonna mess up.
Yeah. So I mean, that's good to know. Because I was like, man.
Hopefully, they weren't the person that were gonna say yes, but statistically, they weren't. So you can't. Yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Yes. So tell us a story of like one time you failed at something that actually opened a door for something that was better for you.
Oh, that's every meeting you have. So I think one thing that you were going to touch on is Gen Z glorifies entrepreneurialism. And they talk about failure, which is fine, but how many times do you fail? And there's really not a secret science behind it no matter what you do. If you get yourself a ton of at-bats, I mean, you're going to have success and failure. And then from there, you reanalyze what worked, what didn't. Okay, let me focus on what works.
Yes.
Do it again 100 times.
Exactly.
Fail again. Do it again. I'll never forget cold calling every single assisted living and nursing home in the state of Kansas because they changed a workers' comp law. And I thought I solved world peace. Guess how many, the percentage, like whether 50%, 10%, 90%, what percentage of senior living is owned by someone that lives in Kansas?
10%?
Like 20, 25%.
25%.
So everyone I was calling didn't even, they were part of the conglomerate that didn't even live here.
Wow.
I'm sure it's a lot worse now.
Wow.
So Hayes, Kansas, Colby, Kansas, I've cold called every senior nursing home. And that was only 3 weeks. That was 3 weeks. Because, you get every list, you call them. Most don't answer, call them again, call them again, call them again, and then you have a color code system of red, no.
Yes.
Green, maybe. Blue, got a meeting, stuff like that. So I think people have to actually take the analysis of what failure is and not just say, man, I reached out for a month and got rejected a bunch. I mean, it's years of rejection. But every failure is a learning opportunity to what happens next. Now, I will say a lot of people that rejected me and that rescheduled on me and didn't treat me well it's circled back and they needed me to help them get a job. And so people that were just genuinely busy and that were, just push it off or ghosted me, I always help. People that were mean to me, I've kept from them getting that job. So it does come back and bite you because someone could be on a board or could be good friends with the owner that says, hey, don't hire Frank. He's not that nice of a guy. Why is that? Well, back in 2004, this is how he treated me.
Wow. So be nice. That's it. Just be a genuine human being.
Well, yeah, people remember it, but everyone builds their own queendoms and kingdoms.
Yes.
And that's 90% of small business, which Kansas City is small business. So if you work for someone that, everyone laughs at their jokes and what they say matters.
Yes.
That's normal. You know, having a great culture with a bunch of great leaders that listen, that's actually unique.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I'm just taking this all in. I'm just taking it all in. So let's talk about Drinks and Leaders. How did you connect with Aaron? Tell us, sir, how did you actually meet Aaron, and how did you guys connect? Because I think you guys have a great chemistry.
So Aaron emailed me and said, Top Gun Kansas City is too white. It looks like a fraternity and sorority. And I was like, it's probably true. And so we went to First Watch, and we ate potatoes and bacon and eggs.
Okay.
And she was prepping for her wedding, so I don't know why we remember that. But
yes.
Aaron and I have the same love language that you and I have, which is hard work. And so no one outworks Aaron. She's persistent. She has a huge level of empathy.
Yeah.
She just is such a delight as a partner to work with, and no one's given her everything. I mean, she's made everything that's ever happened. So that was how we met, and we've been buddies. But how we ended up doing the show is the pandemic with COVID. So the Business Journal named her the top online networker, and I don't know why the Business Journal named me the top in-person networker.
Yeah, you are the top in-person
networker. I don't know about that, but then we just combined shows, and for fun, we were doing it, and then Bank of Blue Valley came and wanted to sponsor it. They've been a phenomenal sponsor, huge fan of Bank of Blue Valley, and everything that they do in the community, and so they pay us good money to tell stories that aren't told a lot, and so I'm kind of your run-of-the-mill, boring middle market person, but when you add Aaron's connections, which are really special people all throughout the city that are having these conversations, we realize we're a lot more similar than we are different, and it creates really fun conversation. I'll never forget, we had 4 female CFOs at giant companies. Over 6,500 employees were represented on these 4 people.
Yes.
And the show was boring. And then the next show kind of suffered from it. So we've learned that if we have really cool, fun people like Zeke on the show, then you spice it up and you ask questions that other people may not, or you give answers other people may not, but you don't feel like you turned on the news and everyone gave the politically correct answer. You
know? I mean, the show's been great. I mean, whenever I watch, I'm like, it's fun. And whenever you come on, you do the thing, you do it. That's what you're famous for. But yeah. So I heard you mention about Top Gun KC. So is it more diverse now? When she said that, how is that going now?
So for 5 years, so the first meeting we ever had, our speaker, John Venwall, looked us in the eye and said, this group stinks. It's only as good as the women you have in the group. So we were always super intentional on having women in the group. So personally, I grew up in the suburbs, and I was so sheltered in such a bubble, I didn't realize that as you think of centered, you think of Caucasian, you think of male, you think of heterosexual, you think of Christian, you think of 2-parent household, and when you don't understand the privilege that you have, you don't really, it's hard for you to figure out or understand that. So it's a journey that I'm maybe in the my first or second inning on, but it doesn't take a genius in business to understand that if you're in a boardroom and everyone thinks the same way, it's a horrible idea. And so we were always very intentional about diversity of industry and limiting the amount of people per industry. And Top Gun has gotten exponentially better, but because we started out so heavily Caucasian male and female, I mean, it just takes a long time. But for 3 years, that is something we've been incredibly intentional on. And actually recently, within the last 6 months, I was like, this pandemic just hammered me. And so I have the help of 5 other people that do all the recruiting. So I don't do any of the recruiting anymore. There's 5 gatekeepers that each get to pick 5 people each year. So it's one of those where everyone that did Top Gun, I interviewed myself. But if you're trying to make the group the best it can be, and we're going to have the great fortune of the media outlets that write about us, even though we're private, my wife and I fund everything, but if we're going to allow that attention to be shined on us, we need to make sure that we're stewards of that in lifting other people up all throughout the metro, no matter what anyone's background is. But the answer is absolutely.
Yes.
But like anything, it's complicated.
And I mean, I know KC is, and I think this is a good segue. But it's like KC has all this division happening even since way back. But I think maybe now it's getting better. But on that same note, like, when it comes to, because I always talk about this thing on the show all the time, when it comes to like the truce redlining and how that affects like everyone's livelihood. And I think there's also a truce redlining when it comes to the business community in Kansas City. With you, have you seen that on, how do you think that is going? Is it improving when it comes to diversity in the business community?
So in the business community, so the answer is yes. But
yes.
When you think about society, 7.9 out of 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. And over 60% of the country has a household income of $54,000.
Yes.
So there's a segment there, and then you have the business community. The business community listens to the markets. Well, if I'm trying to hire Gen Z, the number one priority is diversity and inclusion, and it's been that way, and I feel that way personally. And so if you are not continuing to be intentional about what you do, you're falling behind. So it'd be great to say people looked upon themselves and said,
yes.
hey, I want to do this.
Yes.
But it's both. It's good business, it's the right thing to do, and it's how we all succeed together.
Yes. Yes.
So the answer is yes. But my wife and I, we pick friends based upon empathy. You know, if they feel that life is the way it is, and they don't have a breadth of understanding of others, even at a simplistic metric, and that's how I do business. I mean, if someone wants to talk to me about that, the topic of how do we bring people together, but they haven't done it themselves, I try to avoid it, and I potentially may not want to work with them. But yeah, people are trying to lift people up and grow their businesses. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like not even, this is the fact, when there's a company is diverse, it's way better because there's different mindsets from different places coming together to have different perspective of things, you know. And I think, especially 2020, kind of had this explosion of like with George Floyd and everything happened, and kind of opened people's eyes like, oh, this is still happening, because we were like, oh, it's been okay. But because I think that's the importance of it, which is why, you know, I think even when you're talking about like the part of living, where it's just not the business community, like it has to be able to get people more diverse and not just be divisive. So I would say this, right? In Kansas City alone, I know that when you start going towards west side, it becomes like more white families that live on that side. Do you think there's a change happening in that, or do you think it's not happening yet?
I think from a business perspective it is. From a residential standpoint, I think we have a really long way to go. Yes. And so I am not in real estate. A lot of friends in real estate, but there is, you know, Truce is going to be one of the most popular places to live, and is one of the most popular places to live, but it may not include everyone because the price of that real estate is going to go up, and people use the word gentrification. So that's just a really big topic that I'm not intelligent enough or know enough about to speak about. But in the business community, I see it being, you know, something as a huge windfall. So 10 years ago, my business partner and I are the only co-ed team in Kansas City, and we're a 95% male-dominated industry, and we placed a bet on women CFOs, and we're watching that tsunami in the middle market, where I believe that we're going to see over 50% women CFOs in the middle market here in Kansas City easily within the coming years. So there's everything's super complicated. I wish I could give you like a really great and pithy answer, but I'm a huge history fan, and Ken Burns, who is the greatest documentarian of history in the country, talks about, you know, Adam and Eve's original sin. Well, America's original sin is race. Yes. And so, you know, it's something that it's so complicated to even unbundle, and I think it's different between generations. The way that you think or I think may not be the way that everyone else thinks. So how do we have empathy for how other people think, but yet how do we try to push things forward as much as possible and
open more doors, basically?
It's incredibly hard. But I mean, if you're not focused on it, there's just a gigantic mistake people are making, because it's an exciting time to be getting as many different people around the table as possible to grow.
Awesome. I mean, I'm happy to be able to know you and because I know you're intentional about diversity and whatever you do. So, which is very important because I think if those conversations are not being had, changes won't happen. You know, it has to be an open conversation where we talk about it, think about it, and then be able to take action. But anyways, we've come to the end of the show.
But also, one thing, it's also okay if you say you don't know. So if someone's scared about having the conversation, I was really lucky to be in the Centurions Leadership Program, which is through the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. It's a 44, maybe longer, year old program.
Wow.
And I did it because I was like, well, everyone that's a big deal has done this program. And I didn't realize that it changed the way I thought as a human being and the way I looked at the world. So I was really spoiled prior to the last decade. I was injected into a program where I got to learn a lot. And if I weren't to have been in that program, I don't know if I would feel how I feel today because of what I was exposed to. So I think the more that we can all put ourselves in different experiences, which isn't rocket science.
Yes.
You know, we think about Anthony Bourdain and a show that we all thought was really popular, but there's something to whatever we do in life. And Randy Powell, who I would love for you to have on this show, is the CEO of United Rotary Brush.
Okay.
And he said, when you think of like a black belt,
yes,
the hardest belt to get actually isn't your black belt, it's your white belt to start.
To get started.
And so it's okay if people say they don't know. They're really giving themselves, they're being vulnerable.
Time to learn.
To us, to be able to learn. And so I am definitely in the stage of just being vulnerable. So I really want to make sure if anyone watches the show, I am not an expert other than any means. But if we're 15 drinks deep, I'll tell you my opinion like I know it, and it's the most genius thing I've ever thought. But until then, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, because it's an open conversation. It's not nitpicking or saying this person did this or did that, but it's always, good to have an open conversation about things, because usually people hide away from it. They hide away from conversation about race because they do not want to talk about it. But it's if you don't talk about it, if you don't listen to it, you don't learn. You don't know what you don't know, and that's why most times I have to bring it up so I can learn, because I'm not an expert, not in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, it was good being able to chat and being able to kind of get the people to know the number one connector in Kansas City, the most, how do I say it? When I say legend, I've been saying a lot of legend, but this is actually the main legend on the show today. So it's an honor to have you on the show, Scott. But before we go, I have this section where I pull up 2 pictures of you and I'm going to explain what's happening in this picture. But I want you to give...
Wait, these are college pictures?
No. You clean your Facebook. I went to your Facebook, cleaned it. I don't know how do you want to...
I would tell you there was like 1/3 of my Facebook where like my eyes weren't there. Because you're taking pictures in college at night. Like, oh.
No, I didn't go that deep. I know. I kept it civil. Now, let us go to the section where I'm going to pull up 2 pictures and you're going to explain what's happened in this picture. And then after that, you're going to give us your plug. Let's do this. So this picture, what is happening here?
Oh my gosh, that is, no. That is a great, are you going to show it on?
Yes, it will be, we'll show, yes.
So in 83 years, my wife and I are the first ever couple to do our birth announcement at Kelly's. So
wow.
we're huge Kelly's Westport fans.
Okay. Last picture. What is happening here?
Okay, that's my father, Jeff. Okay. That's my little brother, Brett. And that's my older brother, Matt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we're at the University of Kansas at the Hawk.
Oh,
so the Hawk, if it's a love language for anyone out there, and if they want to reach out, I'd love to meet with them if they're a big fan of the Hawk.
Okay.
So I was there 7 nights a week.
Okay.
Sunday was chili night. Monday was dollar beer night.
Thanks, 7 nights a week.
Yeah, so I didn't go to school for the degree. So, I mean,
you had some fun.
Yeah. I was, I think it was a strategic communications with a minor in psych, and the minor in psych was an accident. So if you look at my LinkedIn, my education actually is Bullhawk Wheel, which were the bars, not the education. So I was there to meet people, have a good time, and the Hawk was absolutely amazing. It was a great place, When you see people at their best and their worst, you can kind of get a feel for who they are overall instead of just seeing them at their best.
Wow. But anyways, thank you again for coming on the show. It was an honor to chat with you. But before we go, give us a plug. How can people get in contact with you to get to know what you got going on next?
If they grow your business and they refer you deals, like a great sponsorship,
yes,
I'm going to take us all to lunch or happy hour.
Let's go.
That's how they get in touch with me, is I have to help you.
Let's go. Well, there you hear it. Let's make it happen. But anyways, thank you, Scott, for coming on the show. But this has been a fun episode. It's always an honor just to be able to chat with you and kind of talk about what you do, because you're great. You're a legend in KC. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for allowing me to pay you money to sponsor the show for you to say that. So, all right, brother.
Thank you. But for those watching at home, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in today for another Firedup KC episode. And as you know, I'm your host, Zeke Wanganga. And please follow us, share this, let people know. And thank you again. And go to our website, firedupkc.com. And you know what to do. Stay fired up and don't give up. Bye-bye for now.